Yeah, I'm. Real name's Jamie. Our Producers Blawan, 25. Yeah.
And I'm Arthur, but I Producers Pariah, and I'm 24.
We kind of met up just before I signed to R&S, and then just through that relationship, not long after that I moved down to London as well, and just we after being in London, we became friends. Realised, played a lot of shows together. Realised that we actually had a lot of the same records, a lot of the same taste in music. So it was, again, man, just a totally natural thing. Like it just kind of a bit of a no-brainer. Like we both had an idea to do a sort of project that was separate from our own stuff, and it just came together like that. Really. Me personally, like getting labelled sort of dubstep, from the first release I ever did was kind of a bit annoying. I mean, alright, they were sort of similar tempo, sort of garage sort of style stuff, but never intended to ever write any dubstep or sort of be part of the whole dubstep thing. Because I liked it. I bought dubstep records, but it wasn't my main source of interest. I was more interested in other forms of dance music really as well. Dubstep just was such an important thing in England at that time that it was impossible to avoid it. Like it was influence permeated everything. So yeah, I mean it's so easy for someone to say post-dubstep, post this, or dubstep this and that, but it's such a broad term. And it's wrong to label anyone who comes out of the UK now who's got this sort of weird sort of electronic dance vibe going on. Just to label, it's so easy for them to label it as dubstep. Some guys not even interested in that. They're just trying to do their own thing. So I mean, everyone's got to label some stuff, but yeah, I mean, I think the whole post-dubstep thing and various other stupid names that have come about. They seem to stick with you a long time.
Yeah,
and
a long time.
It's weird, man. Yeah.
I guess people feel the need to, label things, and I completely understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit nice.
Because it's silly to say that there isn't some kind of scene where, there's kind of a tight-knit community of all people who all know each other, who are all making kind of similar, or different but similar music. And of course there's going to be people who are going to try and put a name to it.
The way I got into dance music was basically just through listening to it, really, not really through clubbing. I was going out. I DJ'd a few times at some clubs when I was pretty young, but I can't really remember a specific time when I got into dance music. It was just sort of a natural progression, like
Yeah, I guess it's kind of similar. I mean, I did my first kind of exposure to dubstep was actually at Forward, but I went there by complete accident. I met up with some friends who were out, and they were just like, come to Plastic People. And I've been to Plastic People a few times, but only to see, Fortet this was when I was like 16 or something. Fortet used to do loads of live shows there. I was a massive fan of him. And then this was, I guess, 3-4 years later kind of thing. And I didn't really know anything about dubstep. I had heard what it was, and I went forward, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't kind of, I didn't have like the epiphany that I know that some people have had with Forward, but I guess I think maybe it was at a slightly later stage to, I guess it was kind of around the time of like Midnight Request Line. Term post-dubstep so much because
most of it has no relevance to dubstep whatsoever. It's completely different sound. Like the average person, average person sounds really patronising, but like the person who will go out to a club to specifically hear new stuff like that, who probably label it post-dubstep, whereas maybe the guy who's made the track that they're listening to just had no intention whatsoever. Of like, I've heard, you see people sort of labeling a 4/4 techno track as post-dubstep, and it's like, get real. Like, come on, think about it. Learn some history. You can't judge and start talking about music in genre terms until you've sort of done a little bit of research and seen the arc of the progression of that music, you know, or maybe where the artist's background comes from. Yeah. Instead of just sort of huddling everyone in to, because it's such a small scene anyway. You know, everyone knows pretty much everybody. Like, there's not many people who in the current music scene that you won't ever get to meet and probably become friends with. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
I tend to just play straight vinyl when I'm playing in Europe and stuff like that. Mainly, I mean, I'm in no ways kind of a purist about it. I personally just love playing vinyl, and I think it sounds amazing. But you know, there are little things like I can't use CDJs because they just confuse me, and you know, I've got a mental block with using them. I just really struggle. So it's not like, you know, I'm anti using CDs or Serato. I mean, I brought Serato out with me. It's just the format that I like using. And the thing is, I spend all my money on vinyl, and it would seem like a complete waste if I just ripped it and then played it off Serato or a CD in a club. I mean, I've bought these records so I can play them in a club.
Me and that half run a vinyl only label. Like, you know, I cut a few things out on just vinyl, and like, you know, some people complain that like they can't get it on digital, but that's sort of, if you look at it from like a sort of artist point of view, that's sort of the canvas that we want people who put all this vinyl stuff out want it to be represented on. You won't go and tell a painter, oh well, I don't really like that painting because the picture frame's too big, and you know, I don't really like the watercolour, or you know, it's exactly the same thing. Like, I understand that it's expensive now, and it's a weird situation that vinyl's in at the minute, because sales are going up, but the prices are also going up, and you know, I think it's just one of those things that you just have to commit yourself to, like, properly.
And I mean, if there's any industry I want to support, it's the vinyl industry.
Yeah, I mean, and that's also another really important thing, man. Like, you know, in fact, you're buying an MP3 from Beatport, that money's going to no one except a few guys who sat in an office or anything. You know, same with anywhere else. iTunes, like, you buy a vinyl, the amount of skill involved and the science involved in the people in the industry, because not only pay the artist getting the money, the record label's getting the money, the guy who couriers the final copies around, the pressing plant, the distribution, they all get a cut of that. So you're not just supporting one person, you're not just supporting the artist, you're supporting an entire industry. And these are real people with real jobs, you know, they go to work every day, and people just stop doing that and getting something that's much cheaper and, in my opinion, worse, then, you know, it's like anything. Yeah. It's like anything. You just,
You know, I guess the first records I ever started collecting was kind of when I was in my teenage years. I collected like hardcore punk records, and that is a very collectible scene, because they, you know, a band will put out maybe 5 different versions of one EP, all in a different colour, you know, hand stamped, and I kind of, you know, being quite young, you kind of get drawn into that. It's a bit of a I mean, I love the music, but I think sometimes it goes a bit over the top with the collectible nature of it. But in terms of stuff that I'm mainly buying now, are just anything really, you know, house, techno, weird, ambient stuff, noise, you know, just basically anything that I can find on Discogs that's on my want list. It's the long nights.
Yeah, or She Works, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, the name's completely irrelevant if we're honest. It's just a vinyl only label that we wanted to put high quality vinyl out on, that sort of on the more harder techno side of stuff, I guess. Like
UK sounding as well, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, stuff that's more UK sounding maybe than like the Berlin side of techno.
Yeah,
I mean, Sunil Sharp is I mean, his music is he is Irish. He is Irish, but oh god, it's such a
I know, I do it a lot.
Touchy subject, but you know, in terms of like, I guess the British Isles, you know, Ireland, and
yeah, I mean, there's a bit in the past 5 years. There's been such a saturation of Germanic techno, like. People forget that actually the UK pretty much pioneered most of that stuff. Like, I am gonna be, you know, but we did, like, even in the early 90s, like, Birmingham, you know, downwards, integral, distribution, they were the guys that sort of pushed that sound to its limits. And I think we're not kidding ourselves to try and think we could ever bring anything like that back, but we're just trying to have a little piece of that for ourselves. Because we're young guys, you know, we weren't around when that was happening, so... Yeah. You know, we have a lot of respect for that thing, you know. And me personally, we've ended up working with those guys who did all that back in the 90s. So it's like come full circle, you know, which is nice for us because it's a bit of recognition that we're sort of maybe heading in the right direction. So yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, man, we've had a really, really good time out here. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not the best flyer in the world, so I was absolutely dreading coming out here, man. Like, it's very, very far. But yeah, we got here. Everyone's treated us like royalty, man. So yeah, just massive respects to the guys and everyone who's brought us out here, man. It's been really good. Yeah.